Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundy, the other day I had a Detroit Red Wings fan slip into my DMs, and they were telling me how annoyed they were with their team and the collapse, which we'll get into in a bit here. And they hit me with a one-liner that there's a good chance they weren't the first person to say this, but this has stuck with me. I really like this. They said in Detroit, Red Bull gives you wings, but the Red Wings give you bull. And I thought that was really funny. Man, by the way, shout out Dylan Larkin, who just got named one of the top 3 NHL stars of the week this week. I'm sure he feels really good about that. The Detroit Red Wings eliminated from the playoffs at the hands of the New Jersey Devils. That's rough. That's rough.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat it. The Detroit Red Wings are. I mean, they're the most disappointing team in the league this season. Never.
That's hard to argue against.
Never progressing forward.
Maybe the Jets.
I'm just trying to.
That's like the only competition.
Yeah, you know, I mean, Jets are up there because they did, just win the Presidents last year. This is a Detroit team that is never improving. It's the same thing. Start, pretty good throughout the first, half of the season. March hits, the team implodes. No one steps up to kind of put the team on their back, and in game 81, 80, 82, they lose and they're out. And this is going to hurt even more, I think, for Red Wings fans, because Ottawa took that last spot. Ottawa, who just kind of kept winning and forced their way in to that second wildcard spot. The only playoff spot remaining in the East is the Metro 3 spot, but Detroit can't even get into that because they're in the Atlantic. January 12th. At that time, the Detroit Red Wings were above the Ottawa Senators.
Right.
From that moment on, the Ottawa Senators made up 20 points on the Red Wings to pass them.
Jeez.
That's just unacceptable. That's, again, Detroit puts themselves in the driver's seat in the first half of the season, and when it gets tough, they crumble. And that's the thing. People say, "Oh man, I would love to see Detroit in the playoffs." And you know what? Normally, I would too. But I kind of don't, because as soon as there's an ounce of pressure, the team completely crumbles. The team,
it's bizarre,
falls downhill. And then it's even worse when you consider they traded their first round pick unprotected to St. Louis for Justin Falk, which at the time I didn't mind. But now when you look at it, you've traded a first for Justin Falk, who's potentially going to be a third pair defenseman next year. And if he's not a third pair defenseman next year, that means he's only a second pair defenseman. But then that means Axel Sandin Pellikka didn't take that next step that you were hoping. You were hoping he did it this year. Didn't work out, so you brought in Justin Falk for that. I mean, the right side of your blue line could be pretty damn good next year potentially, but
there's a lot of
another failure.
There's a lot of people saying, yeah, Detroit's pick is unprotected, sure. But they have really low chances of winning the draft lottery. So say they don't win it, because odds are they won't, right? Probably not.
I would bet a lot of money they don't.
Yeah. Even if they don't, where's that pick going to be? 14th overall? 13th overall?
That's 14, 15, 16, 13, yeah, somewhere in there.
There's some good-ass players still available there, man. I don't know. I think I'd rather have that guy than Justin Falk.
Yep.
Like, no shade to the guy, but if things go according to plan, the good way, like you said, third pairing defenseman, like young guys should be leapfrogging him. So
And
it's
that is
interesting
the
because
thing, right? Like
we
for
didn't hate
Detroit,
it at
that
the
is,
time, but like
yeah.
the the signs were kind of there. Like if you looked at the advanced stats, the signs were always there that they were a little bit of frauds. And I remember I didn't think they were totally frauds at the time, but I do remember pointing out the stat that like when they were top of the Atlantic, like tied with the Hurricanes for top of the East, they were like still like a -1 goal differential. Like for
Mhm.
so long, I remember they were ahead of Tampa and everyone else in the Atlantic, and Tampa was like +50, and they were like -2, and they had like 5 more points, and it was like,
Yeah.
the hell's going on in these games? Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
and that
that's
is the thing is like best case scenario is you got fleeced in that St. Louis trade. That is the thing, right? Is like that meaning that Axel Sandin Pellikka took that next step. Detroit fans might not want to hear this, but I think it makes a lot of sense, and I think it's true. Detroit reminds me a lot of Toronto. You've
a
kind
lot
of
of people
got
are saying it.
that core four, and then that defenseman. You've got DeBrincat, Raymond, Larkin, and then you've got the veteran like Toronto did, but you have Patrick Kane for Detroit, and then you got Mo Seider. Your depth isn't very good on this team, so you are relying on your core four and then Seider to get the job done, and those 5 players overall aren't good enough to carry you to the playoffs. They're still very good players. Like I'm not going to say they're not good players and they're bad or anything. I mean, DeBrincat's over a point per game. Raymond is right in there.
Seider's
But
having a
it's not
career
it's
season.
not a good enough core to carry the rest of the team. When you're paying
No,
Andrew Kopp all that money to 43 points in 77 games, JT Comp for only 27 points in 80
oh,
games.
that's rough. I thought he was better than that.
You brought in Justin Falk, who, let's see what his stats were with the team. 6 points in 15 games.
As a defenseman,
That's what you expect.
sure.
Remove him. Simone Edvinsson was second on the team for points by a defenseman, 25 in 70. So really,
Yikes.
outside of Seider, you are
You
not getting much offense from your defenseman.
you
And
need
Marco
some scoring
Casper,
from the back.
I was very high on Marco Casper going into this year. Thought he's going to take that next step. 18 points in 79 games.
Don't love that.
Ben
I
Sherratt,
know
who you just signed to a
Emmett
big
Finney
extension,
had
13
a good
points in
year.
80 games. Finney was good. Finney was kind of the only bright spot for the team this season, honestly.
I think Seider taking that next step as well is a big bright spot. John Gibson was a great move. They brought in John Gibson. That's the best goaltending they've had in quite some time. He had some rough stretches, but on the season was an above average goaltender. It's one of those situations where, I'm almost starting to look at where Tampa was when Yzerman left and being like, okay, we're starting to see a bit of a pattern. He's really good at getting these elite high end pieces there, but it's not quite clicking the way it does for championship teams. And then he left. Brisebois took over. Brisebois filled out the bottom 6, and we go and we win 2 cups. Like you need that good depth, and that feels like that should almost be the easier part, right? That feels like that should be easier than finding the star players, but they've got
Yeah.
the star players. Their depth is, Simone Edvinsson with that. How many points was it? Like 27, being the second most from a defenseman on the entire team.
And
A
I will
pretty
say
healthy team. So it's not like their guys have been
yeah.
missing a ton of games, and that's why they don't have the points. Like you need some point production from the other guys. Like it can't
Yeah,
be
and I do want to
DeBrincat
say
and Larkin every time.
when I say that, that's not to be a knock on Simone Edvinsson, because I think his
Oh
game
no,
in the league is going to be more as a defensive kind of more defenseman. It's more so highlighting the you know if you were only getting scoring from one defenseman, you shouldn't have waited until the trade deadline to make that move. And you're right, Seider did definitely kind of take that next step offensively this year. The one thing I'm hoping for next year is he can find a way to blend both his sides of his game, because his offensive numbers did take a big step this year, but his physical game, which is what made him so valuable and so unique as a defenseman, took a massive hit. No pun intended there, but throughout his career, and again, still has yet to miss a game in his entire career.
Love
From
that
his
for
rookie
him.
year forward, 151 hits, 207, 211, 212, and then this year, 127. So
Wow,
his
those 3 years in the middle are
physical game
shockingly
took a big,
consistent.
yeah, and then a huge drop off to 127. And again, offensive numbers, a big increase, setting a career high in goals, assists, and points. All, and points especially, going from his career high was 50 in his rookie year, and now up to 60 this year, and 2 games remaining. So can maybe add on to that. So I'd like him to hopefully be able to find a way to keep those offensive numbers, but also keep the physicality, because again, that just makes
that's
him,
interesting.
Just that much more valuable, because what defenseman in the league is going to give you 60 points a season, but also 200 hits?
The only other guy we've seen do it recently at all has Mackenzie Weegar reached 60 points in the last 5 years? I think he's the only high octane defenseman that hits at that level, right? Like, most of the guys getting that many points are Lane Hudson, Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar. They're not hitting close to 200 hits. So, yeah, Seider really is kind of a one-of-one player in this league. And I'm surprised his physicality dropped off that much, like, especially because the league has, especially with the Panthers winning back-to-back cups there, the physicality's amped up. Like, especially in the Atlantic, which the Red Wings are in. Like, I'm surprised his hitting numbers dropped that substantially after being so consistent within like a dozen or so 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Almost got to wonder if that's a coaching thing. If they told him, hey, we need a little more offense from the blue line, and you're the guy to do that.
Potentially could be, but again, it's, I mean, maybe, yeah.
I'm not saying it's good for his game or anything. Just I wonder if McClellan told him to do that, or if he was just like, I got to focus more on this, and he's looking for hits less often.
Potentially, yeah. But with Buffalo making it into the playoffs this year, Detroit now holds the longest active playoff drought at 10 seasons. They will definitely be a team to focus on this offseason, and because again, in my opinion, they've been right in the mix for the last couple of seasons, just coming up short of the playoffs. But I believe this is a team that there's like quite a bit of work that needs to be done.
Like, they have 91 points with 2 games left. Yeah. Like, they're not a bad team. Like,
but how many years can we say that in a row? It's every year. They're not a bad team, but they're missing.
And
then
absolutely.
The following year, it's not a bad team. Eventually, it's like.
But like, there are some people saying they need to blow it up, and
I don't think they need to blow it up, but I think
they have the same amount of points as
a shake up,
like
one big move.
They've got 91 points. That's the same as Vegas, who is number 1 in the Pacific. Obviously, they're not in the Pacific, but like, it's not like
just ass.
It's not like they're down where the Leafs and the Kraken are right now. They're not like bottom 5 in the league and floundering. Like,
well, bottom 5 in the league from March 1st on, probably.
It's got to be close, at least.
That's the thing, right? So again, yeah, like, not a bad team, and definitely don't need to blow it up, but like a big move to kind of shake the foundation of the team. Maybe.
I don't know what you would get for him, what the value would be, especially because he would be ineligible for the playoffs this year. So it would be a move for next season, and he's only getting older. But what could they get for Patrick Kane? Do you think they can improve through that?
No. And the thing is, right, is like, Patrick Kane can still be a good player, but Detroit's relying on him to do more than I think he's capable of at this point in his career, kind of similar to Winnipeg.
Yeah.
They brought in Jonathan Toews and was already penciled in as their number 2 center, and we were all kind of like, that's not going to work. And we knew it wasn't going to. And
I was gonna say, like, I
by
thought they would put him at
November, he
4C.
was, he was by like November, he was fourth line center. So, and Kane, you know, I think he's happy just being on Detroit. He likes it there. At this point in his career, it's not like he's, you know, going to be eager to bounce around in cup chase. I mean, he's already got 3, so yeah. And again, it's like still a good year, 56 points in 65 games.
I'm just thinking you're not going to get that for much longer. So if you can capitalize on that value, it would be good. It might also send, like, a lot of people would be like, oh, but trading a veteran away, that's not good for the locker room. If you put a decent bit of emphasis on, hey, there is a reality where you cost us a playoff berth with that, potentially the most needless penalty I've seen in my entire life on Quinn Hughes in the neutral zone. We can't stand for that shit. You're the most veteran of veterans in this league, and that was boneheaded as hell. Hit the bricks.
Yeah, but if you're also a team that's looking at it like one penalty cost us a chance in the playoffs, you probably didn't deserve to be in the playoffs to begin with. And even if you did, again, you're getting spanked 4 straight. I do see what you're saying, but I also look at it because what have they done? It's been Larkin and Raymond, and then Kane and DeBrincat. So you trade Kane, you're really kind of fucking DeBrincat over of, you know, you're on your own now. And if you move DeBrincat with Larkin and Raymond, then your second line is ass, your third line's ass, your fourth line's ass, and
well,
I think what they need to do is you need to find
a bit of a shakeup, but
JT Comp for, you know, if you can get out from his contract, open up some money. I mean, you can't do that with Ben Schrott now. Open up money and take a big swing on someone.
Who's there to take a big swing on? Like, who's out there in this free agency? There's not a ton.
Maybe it's not even through free agency. Maybe you go the route of a trade, and, you know, I still think Detroit fans are insane at the time, being like, oh, I don't want to trade for Quinn Hughes if it means we're giving up this B- prospect and this C+ prospect in a first. Like, no way. Like, fucking, if they're not a prospect that's going to be ready to be in the lineup next year, they should be shopping them around.
Yeah. And Sandy Pellikka looks like he's going to be really good. I feel relatively comfortable in saying he will never have a season as good as Quinn Hughes probably just had. And this isn't even Quinn Hughes at his best. The first half of the year was pretty slow. But, like,
I hear you, though. Yeah.
Is that guy really going to end up being better than Quinn freaking Hughes? Like,
basically, you got to ask yourself, is Axel Sandy Pellikka in his prime going to be a top 2 defenseman in the entire league consistently? No. Could he be top 5? Maybe. Could he be top 10? Maybe. Is he going to be 2? I highly doubt it.
Probably not. And guess what? We can guarantee that Quinn Hughes is. I would be shocked if he got traded from Vancouver to Detroit and got worse and fell out of that spot. Like, some guys, they get moved and it's just not a fit where they go. Quinn Hughes is not the type of player where you worry about that. You just don't have to. No team in the league would trade for him and be like, I hope he doesn't regress big with us. He's not going to. Like,
and again, with all of this, like, we're not, you know, I mean, we are kind of shitting on Detroit, but we're just trying to come up with ways of how they can improve. Because again, you know, I think at this point now, we both want them to, you know, be back in the playoffs. We'd love to see, you know, Little Caesars rocking, because they've yet to have a playoff game in that new building.
Yeah.
And it would be sick.
I'm not going to lie. I've said it on the podcast a couple times over the past few years. Like, I've been enjoying the Red Wings missing the playoffs. They had 25 straight years of playoff success with like 3 or 4 cups. Like, they had their fun. They can suck it for a while. We're getting past even that point where it's like, all right, let's turn it around. I want to see what Sider can do in the playoffs. I want to see what Raymond can do in the playoffs. I want to see what Little Caesars looks like.
Yeah, like, now that it's got to double digits, it's like you got to get back in there. And
yeah,
you know, again, it's that's a team we'll be looking at a bit in the offseason, because I mean, sucks to hear, but you're kind of the Buffalo now. You're the team everybody's looking at now of shit. You're the longest playoff drought. You're in that double digits territory. Like, when are you guys gonna figure your shit out? Like, that's where you're at now, and you're gonna be there until you're back in the playoffs. So
People talk about how long it's been since the Sabres have made the playoffs. The Red Wings are like already 70% of how long it had been for Buffalo. Like, they're not super close. They've still got like 4 or 5 years to get to that point, but like it's coming up. It's on the horizon now.
every
It's
year
not
it keeps happening.
it's not a we don't
It's
have to
1
worry
year
about that.
closer.
They'll turn it. It's
How many years do we say that with Buffalo? We've probably been saying it for Buffalo for the past 5 years. We could be saying it for Detroit for another
At
5
least.
years potentially.
We've been saying it since they had Eichel. Like,
It's scary. It's possible, but
and the Atlantic.
I feel for you Detroit fans though.
A lot of people are saying, okay, well, the Atlantic isn't going to be as much of a dogfight next year. What division are you looking at?
Yeah, I was going to say, well,
what? Because guess what? Next year, do you think Buffalo's fallen off a cliff for what they're doing right now? Maybe they'll be not as good.
Actually,
maybe they won't be bordering on 50 wins on the season, but I think they're still in the playoff hunt. The Habs are almost positively going to get better. I think the Lightning are still going to be in it. The Bruins don't seem to be going anywhere. Ottawa seems to not be going anywhere. Florida isn't going to be beaten up to shit. You can pencil in a whole bunch of points going their way that you were getting instead. Like, I don't think Toronto's as bad as they've been this year.
Toronto could potentially bounce back. Like, it's possible.
New Jersey's probably better next year. They're only in the East, but like, who's truly bad in the entire Eastern Conference?
We thought it was going to be Pittsburgh, and they're second in the Metro.
They're clinched.
One of the best offensive teams in the league this season.
That's insane. I so would have guessed if, like, last episode you told me that it was the Penguins. I believe the Avs have since passed them, but the Penguins for a bit there were the highest scoring team per game in the league. If you had asked me who's the highest scoring team in the league, I might have gotten to the 20s before I even mentioned the Penguins, knowing they're in the playoffs. Like, I just assumed they're a defensively sound team because look at their roster and you're like, who's supposed to be scoring all these goals? Oh, fuck, Anthony Manta's got like 35 or something. Like
the Rangers are the only team you can kind of pencil in as being bad next year because they've already kind of committed to that.
Yeah, retool. But even then, like, if they fire their coach, bring in a new guy, would you be shocked if they found wild card 2? Shesterkin, Adam Fox, they still got plenty of good guys. Like JT Miller, when he's on, is really good. You know, he's not always on, but when he is, he's good. You know, they got Trocheck. That Lafreniere's really stepped up since the Panarin trade.
They could maybe be a better team next year, but in terms of making a wild card spot with all these other teams, no.
Gavrikov, DeAndre Miller, it's a great blue line. Like,
Miller's on Carolina now. Don't even have him.
Oh my god, that makes a conversation I had yesterday make a lot more sense because people were wondering why the Rangers gave up on Miller. And I was very confused because I was like, shit, did the coach say something that I missed? I forgot. I thought Keandre Miller got traded from the Hurricanes to the Rangers.
Yeah, no,
that just shows you how little Rangers and Hurricanes games I've watched this year. I forgot which way the star player went in a trade.
Yeah. But we should move on from Detroit again.
It's a tight conference. You know, not even a division.
For them and all that. But Braden, what do we got next going on around the league here as the regular season is winding up?
We don't have it written down, but I do know we both know about this because we talked about it the night it happened. We were just talking about Mo Seider and how his hits have dropped off and how he used to look like he was just chasing hits out there for the fun of the game. There was a guy who clearly heard people talking shit, and he decided he wanted a couple of hits the other night. Troy Terry no longer is going to end the season with 0 hits on the board. I believe you said now he has 2?
He got 2.
What a goon. What a fiend. How funny would it be if he took like a boarding penalty on him, though?
I would have loved it.
Like, that would have been
fun. It shows he doing some. Because again, yes, Troy Terry's a good player and near a point per game, but I don't care if you put up 100 points in 60 games. If you're not laying one hit in a single season, I don't want you on my team.
There is such a difference between a player that puts up 12 hits in a season, like of a crazy low number, 8. That's so different than 0, isn't it?
To me, 0 hits means you're actively avoiding being engaged in the play. It means you are the definition of a perimeter player that's what you are. You're a perimeter player that when there's a battle, you are actively like, I'm not getting involved in it.
Yeah.
Because physical contact, scary, don't like it. Like, so I am glad because again, I really do like Troy Terry, and I hated that stat because it was kind of forcing me to be like, man, fuck this guy. But now that he at least got 2 hits, I'm like, okay, you know what? We can rest easy because 0 hits in that many games is.
I'm not going to give him that level of slack. I'll be honest. Fine. He ends the season with 2. Maybe he picks up 1 more. Maybe he mixes it up and gets 3.
Oh, could you imagine?
79 games in a row with 0 hits is still, if I see that guy coming at me and I'm a defenseman, I'm going, what's this bitch gonna do? What's he gonna fucking do? I'm gonna hold my arm halfway out. I'm gonna protect the puck, and he's not gonna touch the thing. He's not gonna get near it to even stick check me. And what's he gonna do about it? Like, if you get that reputation, guys will immediately start disrespecting you so much. And if they start doing that, if you are the kind of guy where you're like, oh, okay, fine, then they disrespect me and I will just lay them out, then it can work in your advantage. If you're not going to change your play style to be willing to hit every game, they're going to make you look like a schmuck more often than not. And like,
yeah, fair.
I knew that he had few hits, and I'm glad it's so few because it kind of shows the point. Quinn Hughes, how many hits do you think he has on the season?
8.
Pretty damn close. 7. And that's not a lot. That's not a lot of hits in his 70 plus games this season, but it's just enough where it's like, we all know that Quinn Hughes doesn't hit very much. He's even less physical than guys like Cale Makar. Like he doesn't do it hardly at all, but he's willing to do it just enough that nobody ever sees him and is like, he's not going to hit me. They can think he might not fully commit to it, but like nobody's going to be like, oh, he's a pushover. He's not going to do what needs to be done. Like when he has to, he will. And he doesn't have to put in a specific effort clearly because of a stat to do it. So like, I'm not trying to turn this into like a Troy Terry bashing segment or anything. Just like for any player that has one of those stats that really sticks out, like it's like if a guy, somehow has 0 shots after 50 games, like if there's a 2-on-1, I'm fully covering the pass. You do whatever the hell you want with it. I'm not worried. Like, so
it is just bizarre when you think about like the entirety of the season. Like, not once did the puck ever get dumped in, and Troy Terry went in there on the forecheck and threw a hit.
He doesn't have to knock the defenseman down. Just hit him into the boards.
Yeah, just to be like, yeah, I'm
just
here.
Just skate into him and don't stop until the board stops you, right? Like, he never did that once. That's crazy.
It is pretty. Yeah, it's pretty wild. But Ovechkin broke the streak, and now Troy Terry has broken the streak and finished his story of getting a singular hit, and then he doubled down and said, hey, you know what? That was so much fun. I'll get another one, and got his second hit of the season. So, I mean, hey, good for Troy Terry.
Do you say Ovechkin broke a streak?
Oh, because remember the no defensive zone starts.
Right. Okay, we had Ovechkin on here, so I wasn't sure if you were just talking about that.
We can dive right into perfect segue into talking about over here. Alex Ovechkin has not decided on what the future will hold for him yet, as he will wait till the summer to reflect.
What do you think's going to happen?
Yeah. I don't know. And I think I do think he will come back next year.
Okay.
And I don't
I think
even
more
think
people
it's
are starting to
because
lean that way.
of, obviously they kind of made a big deal of his final game in Pittsburgh, and there was no Crosby in that game, and then Strome letting Ovi take the opening faceoff against Sid yesterday, and Ovi taking the photo during warmups with Crosby, Malkin, Letang. But at the end of the game, Penguins players wanted to come over and shake Ovi's hand, and he was just kind of shoot him off the ice, like no, no, no. And people
You
are
saw
like,
you saw the
okay,
clip
so
of it, right? You didn't just
yeah,
see like the headline, because I read the headline and I was like, okay. So I was expecting him to kind of, skating around and kind of a like, come on, go, go. There's just a little subtle thing. He sits there for like 20 full seconds, like being like kind of subtle at first, like, come on, get out of here. And by the end, he's kind of like, he's like full on pointing. He's like, it
he's like,
became
yeah, we
less
ain't doing
subtle the
this.
longer it went, because they weren't getting the message and he was trying to convey it, right?
And I don't put any stock into that. Like I know a lot of people when he did that were like, okay, so he's coming back. I think even if he knew this was his final year, he would still do that.
If anything, I
That's just kind of the
personally think
way.
it makes me think he's done more. Like I genuinely don't think he wants the fanfare. I don't think he wants the Fleury treatment. I don't think he wants the Kopitar treatment, where every place he's going and playing his final away game, he's doing this big thing, and it's like I just don't think he wants any of that. Like, and another guy that we'll talk about in a bit here, Jonathan Quick announced earlier today that he's going to be playing in his retirement game later this afternoon. Like, another guy that clearly just doesn't want that big spectacle. He wants that, probably that one final game, say a nice emotional goodbye, and then, all right, I'm going to retire. Like,
I think with Ovi though, and again, I don't put any stock into not want to shake hands with Penguins. I think maybe he was on his head, but I think when you look at it of just where Washington's at, he's having so much fun with these guys, especially the young guys. And when you look at now, you've got Ryan Leonard who's come up on the team.
It's a fun
20 goals, 45 points. You just, obviously John Carlson did, kind of just out of nowhere get traded and just like that.
First career hat trick
his first
the other day.
Yeah,
I saw that.
never got one with Washington, but did with Anaheim.
Crazy.
But then you replace him with Cole Hudson, who looks just as good as Lane Hudson. So that's exciting. And then, you've got Alexei Protas, who's an awesome dude, fun player, big man. Oh, who's going to join him? His little brother. Except he's not really a little brother.
He's not their little.
Like, the fact Ovechkin got to play on a line with the Protas brothers in that line as a whole, 700 pounds. Like if Washington was continuing to go downhill like we thought they were a couple years ago, he's probably done.
Can I say something that people aren't going to agree with?
Good. Yeah. Why not?
I think these Protas brothers are going to be what a lot of people wanted the Tkachuk brothers to be. I think these guys are going to be like, everyone is like, they're these two brothers and they have skill, and they both are not afraid to hit anything. Their dad was a hockey player in the 80s and not in the 90s. Like, he's, they're born for this, right? And Brady Tkachuk does sometimes, but there's also a weird amount of times where he won't get into it. And then, Matthew Tkachuk, just like, if you say Turtle, who are you thinking of? Most people around the league right now, or at least, are probably saying him. These guys, they are huge, and
I think of what year.
I'm not saying they're both going to be able to put up 90-point seasons in the future, but like, I think that tandem powerhouse brotherhood, I think this is going to hit the mark a lot better than the Tkachuks did. It also helps them be on the same team.
On the flip side, Alexei Protas in his career, 20 hits, 39, 34, 20, 33 this year in 75 games. So like, it's not like he necessarily brings the physicality despite being a bigger guy. I think it definitely does help that, they're on the same team. The Brady Tkachuk thing, I think you're completely wrong on in terms of not wanting to get in there, because again, like I said, he is the only guy that the Ottawa Senators have that will stand up for his team. And I think eventually, I think Brady Tkachuk's starting to realize, like,
I don't think
if I'm jumping in there every time, I'm going to be retired by the time I'm 30. I mean, hell, he literally like almost died on the ice the other day against the Islanders out of nowhere. Because again, he's having to literally fight for his entire team. Now, Matthew Tkachuk, I think you're absolutely right on.
I don't think he's fighting for his team. He's fighting for himself. Every time one of his guys goes down, he doesn't fight. Anytime
but he's not
somebody
he can't jump off the bench though. That's the thing.
No,
that happened the other week.
I'm just saying every time he does fight, it's because somebody hits him up high or somebody says something to him. He fights when he feels attacked, not when he feels his team's attacked.
Whatever way you want to slice it, he's the only one on the team with the balls to fight, though. Whether he's doing it for himself or the team,
sure.
No one else on the team is. I mean, they've got plenty of guys that.
I'm not going to put any shortcomings of the Sens on him because, I'm saying he's not doing it for the team. Nobody else is either. And at least, even if he is fighting for himself, he's still fighting. So it is more than anyone else is doing.
Because anytime any player that's willing to drop the gloves, I will always be like, you know what, good on him, regardless of whether it's for yourself or your team. If you're willing to drop the gloves in this league against some of the guys, especially that Brady Tkachuk is willing to do it with, I'll always tip my cap to. With Matthew, though, you're 100% right. Will only fight if he feels like it's a guaranteed win, and even then, probably not. Will just result to a cheap shot instead. And then
it was just the other day that
once the ref is holding him,
he weaseled out of a fight. Some other guy came in, grabbed the guy, and then he snuck back in and punched the guy while he was being held by his teammate. Like
it will always kind of be a big what if, because I think the Tkachuk press would be, everything is advertised if they were on the same team. We did get a brief glimpse of it in more so in Four Nations, because that was, more NHL style rules. Like it was basically like, the format of an NHL game, whereas Olympics is
it was borderline a playoff game.
Just a different vibe. But yeah, I mean, having these Protas brothers who, again, look like they're going to be 50+ point guys each year. They're big. Maybe the physicality ramps up a bit more now that they're together.
Alexi Protas, very good two-way player as well. So if they can get that out of his brother as well, that can be a really solid, maybe they play together on the penalty kill. Like maybe they're a shutdown and scoring line. Like that's
like having the potential that you've got
really
a pair of brothers that can kind of just anchor your second line for the next 12, 13, 14 years. That's pretty damn cool. And I think with everything where Washington's at, I think he'll at least come back for one more year. I think regardless of if they make the playoffs, I don't think Ovi's quite ready just yet to hang him up.
Yeah, it's
again he could retire at the end of the season, and I wouldn't be shocked.
I'm like a 50-50.
Right now I'm leaning towards I do think he comes back though.
I think I'm leaning very slightly towards him retiring, like 55 to 45%, like just barely.
If he does come back, I agree with you though. It's not going to be like the Fleury thing, what Kopitar's doing.
If he does like, one more year, he's going to say I'm sticking around. He's not going to be like this is my last year. I just
and then
can't
he'll
see him
let it know be like near the end of the season, like this is it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same way Sidney Crosby's going to be. Probably the same way Malkin's going to be. Like those guys, I think that's.
Yeah.
They never won, and again, I don't blame Kopitar for the way he's doing, but the way that Ovi, Crosby, and those guys, they never want it to be about them.
Well,
they don't want to take any of the focal point away from what the team's doing in all this. Like they want it to.
And I don't think Ovi liked how he already did that. Last season, the Capitals were very good, and nobody was talking about it because everyone was talking about his chase for the goals and for the goal scoring record. And like it was so evident every game that it was in the minds of everyone on that team at all times. And it was unavoidable. It was unavoidable to hear about it. And I think at a certain
I know
point,
it
Ovi was
propped up
like, damn,
the
there's a
Caps
lot
a
of,
bit last year.
yeah. And I think a lot of people were like, or I think Ovi was probably looking around like, there's a lot of really good young talent on this team that's breaking out. And nobody seems to give even an ounce of a damn because I'm scoring some goals. Like,
Yeah.
sick, but like, I think at a certain point he was like, all right, awesome, thank you for everything, but like we've been talking about me all season. Can we focus on the team? And yeah, I think he didn't want to take the spotlight again. I don't think he's going to in the future. Um, like we had mentioned, Jonathan Quick announcing his retirement game tonight.
Against the
Which
Dallas Stars.
tonight for us, it will have been yesterday, as you guys are hearing this, if you're listening to this on the day of release. But yeah, he's going to play his final game against Anze Kopitar. Is this in LA?
No, he's not. No. So I just tied those together
Oh, those are
because
tied together. Oh, okay.
yeah. So Jonathan Quick is playing against Florida tonight, but then I just threw that in there that Anze Kopitar played in potentially his final home game for the Kings, and did the big speech afterwards and everything. Because again, the Kings haven't clinched a playoff spot yet. They probably will. So Kopitar will probably have one more playoff run for the Kings, but on the off chance that they do miss, he kind of did his final farewell to LA. Jonathan Quick, as a Sharks fan, fuck you for all those years. As a hockey fan, though,
fair,
incredible career, easily Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
The Vezina Trophy, 3 Stanley Cups.
One of the only 2 goalies to win a Conn Smythe in the past 15 years, maybe up to like 20 or something. Who was the last one before Quick? Like, was it J.S. Shagir? Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's...
Yeah, Quick doesn't even have... Yeah, I was saying... Yeah, he doesn't even have Vezina. He's got the Conn Smythe, and he's got 2 Jennings, and then he's got his 3 cups.
Underratedly hard to win the Vezina Trophy. And certainly hard to win it multiple times, because you look at... Yeah. People look at that 2010s, and it's like, man, it's killer's row of goaltending. Who are you facing on any given night? Prime Fleury, Lundqvist, like Price, like Pecorine. Mm-hmm. Like, there's so many good ones.
So many good goalies.
Was even better back then. And like, so many of those guys, Carey Price only has 1 Vezina. Lundqvist only has 1. Like, the amount of Hall of Famers that only have 1 Vezina from that era is most of them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. So, but yeah, tonight will be Quick's final game of his incredible career. We'll wait to see with Kopitar again, as the Kings are still battling for a playoff spot, and we'll get into that a bit more when we go through the standings. Colorado Avalanche, the President's Trophy winners for this season. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. We kind of knew early on that it was going to be them, I feel like.
Almost surprising that it took them this long to clinch it, though, right? Just because, like, early on in the season, like, we got to like early January, and it was like, are they going to break like all-time win records? Like,
yeah, I think
it was like January 3rd. They lost their first or second home game of the season. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was in regulation, but I remember, like, I think it was the Flyers beat them at home like 6-2, and everyone was like, what the hell? That doesn't happen. That's like the second time all year they've lost, and they got their asses beat at home by the Flyers. And then a few days later, they got their asses beat at home again, like 6-1 by the Predators. And everyone was like, what's going on? That's not what happens. Mm-hmm. Like that's a bunch of people wearing Avalanche costumes. That's not the roster. Like, and they've still been very, very good, but obviously not on the historic pace of, 32-6 or whatever they were doing early on.
Yeah.
They got to be the favorite for the cup, right?
Yeah, I think they are still a favorite. I don't think as much as they've kind of built up to be throughout the season, because again, they kind of have cooled off, and
sure,
hopefully they will have Jared Bednar back for the playoffs. Took that puck off the dome and is dealing with a couple injuries. Won't be with the team on the road as they wrap up the regular season, but hopefully
Head coach Jared
he'll be
Bednar.
back.
For those who don't know, it sort of
Yeah.
sounds like we're talking like about a player, but no, the coach
Yeah.
took a puck and he's been, he got like facial surgery. I don't know how much.
No, I don't think he had to. I don't think there was any surgery, but it's
No. Okay, I thought I saw
a lengthy recovery process. So
okay.
Probably will be back for the playoffs, but no confirmation on that yet. So we'll see. I know you have a couple things I'm unaware of for what you wanted to bring up. But I do just want to throw this in here, kind of middle of the episode, and hopefully it'll grab people's attention and trick them to coming here. So this episode will be coming out on Tuesday. We're recording it on the Monday. Regular season wraps up on Thursday. Playoffs start on Saturday. So we talked about it last week, and I think we're gonna follow through with it. I think we're gonna wait and record on Friday, and then just release the episode out a little bit later on the Friday instead of the Friday morning. That way, we will know who's officially in the playoffs, who's not.
What the
all games will be
like.
done. Yeah, exactly how the brackets look like. Who won the the Art Ross, the Rocket,
any counting numbers
as that will be done.
Trophies.
So I feel like that's better than speculating on a Thursday. Instead, just do it a little bit later and have it come out a little bit later on the Friday, and then we'll know. And that'll include our playoff predictions, all of that. Basically. So that will still be on Friday, but it'll be later on Friday. So
yeah,
if you wake up bright and early and rub 1, 2, or 3 out, and you want to listen to your podcast of us as you recharge, not going to be able to happen. You'll have to wait until the afternoon to hear our lovely voices. But just want to throw that out there before we forgot. Yeah. Brain, I know you had a couple things though that you had. Did you want to cover any of those right now, or did you want to?
Yeah, I think we could get to 2 of them. One of them is its own thing, and then the other one can kind of tie into some other stuff we were looking at talking about. The first one is Chris Pronger. We have recently seen some revelations on how some of his time went as a player in the NHL. Back in I want to say it was mid 2000s when he signed with the Edmonton Oilers. So Chris Pronger signed a 5-year deal with the Edmonton Oilers at the time. He was pretty adamant that he wanted a 1-year contract, or at least he wanted to think about it more. And the team was very adamant they wanted at least more than 1 year. And his agent called him at 1 a.m. one day, and they say, we want to continue contract talks. They've been already in conversation. Let's keep it going. And it's 1 a.m, and he's a couple beers in, and he says, all right, let me go talk to my wife. And then he doesn't, and he sits in his office and he crushes 4 or 5 more beers. And then he calls his agent and says, let's get something done. I'm thinking about 5 years. And so he was telling this story with one of the reporters at the New York Times, probably the Athletic, but he ended up signing his 5-year deal while completely wasted at 2 a.m. And it sounds like he wasn't very happy with himself when he woke up the next morning.
Because he only played the 1 year with the Oilers.
Yeah, so he got the move out he wanted anyway. So that's just funny of how nowadays, like, I couldn't imagine something like that coming out about a player nowadays, right? Like it just feels like that's not even that long ago. That's not the 90s, the 80s. Like that's the 2000s, and that I can't picture a high profile guy like him doing something like that. Like it's just, you don't hear stories like that nowadays.
The only player in the league that potentially would do that would be Alex Ovechkin. Like that's the only guy.
Yeah,
because Ovi's the only player I can think of that very publicly is very out there and is like, I fucking love beers. The Capitals last season, their whole thing was the player of the game gets a nice cold beer.
Like, that's sick.
And everybody
Like,
gets so hype as the guy cracks the beer and just pounds it back. Like that is, and it's very obviously was Ovi's idea of what should we do for player of the game? Should we do a helmet, a vest? Let's fucking give the guy a beer and let him pound it. Like that's
it's pretty fun. Like,
Ovi is, in that kind of sense, one of one. And yeah, if someone was gonna do it, it would be him.
He obviously he's not playing in the league anymore, but Phil Kessel, I could believe a story of him doing that. Maybe you go back a couple more years and you get into guys like Joe Thornton. I could see him doing some of that, but like it's all these much older guys. Like it's just not something you would expect to hear nowadays.
Joe's too busy signing contracts on his lawnmower.
Fair enough.
Can you get him there?
You can't tell me he's the kind of guy who mows his lawn without a beer, though. It's got to be in there.
He's got a water bottle there. Beer's probably on the other side, in the other cup holder, I imagine.
The old water bottle beer trick, classic.
I never actually heard that entire story, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I kind of think you're right. Yeah, probably not something we're gonna hear of a story like that, at least anytime soon here.
Yeah. That came up earlier, and I thought that was a pretty funny story that not going to hear too much like that going forward. At least I would assume,
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things that I had here, and this can go into a bit of a more broad discussion, on 32 Thoughts, Elliot Friedman was talking about the Nashville Predators general manager search and said that they have decided to go with external candidates, and they are looking for someone who has recently served as a GM or an assistant GM. Tom Fitzgerald has been added to the contenders list, and he's wondering if they are going to take a look at Kevin Adams and Brad Treliving as well. So they're not looking to hire from within.
Treliving,
they want people with experience.
Fitzgerald, I hate. Kevin Adams, you know what? People shit on him a lot, but at the end of the day, he built this Buffalo team that's winning. Is it Buffalo started to pop off because he got fired? Is it just a coincidence? At the end of the day, doesn't matter. He built what this team is at the end of the day for the most part.
I would need a lot more.
I mean, out of those three, again, like would I want him to be GM of Nashville? Like, no. But out of the three names you mentioned, he is the clear front runner over the other two.
I think I like him best in that.
Ruined New Jersey. Treliving ruined Toronto.
I wouldn't want
Adams,
him as any more than an assistant GM.
He ruined Buffalo, though.
I can. He ruined Buffalo.
Well, you could say it, but...
Well, they hadn't been to the playoffs since 2010. What do you mean? Like, yeah, sure, they're good now that he's gone. They're good.
Year.
Yeah, he wasn't there. They fired him, and now they're good. They specifically got good after they fired him.
You cannot tell me that you would rather have Treliving or Fitzgerald, though.
I think it's I think it's closer with him versus Treliving. I do not like what Fitzgerald has done. I wouldn't want any of the. I would. There are some heinous names I would probably put out there before any of these three as the GM. I could maybe take Kevin Adams as an assistant GM, but that's as high as I could go. Like, they've been drafted first overall since 2015. Second overall, I guess, because they lost the lottery, obviously. Oh no, they got Jack Eichel. They also fumbled. Like, if you get that many years worth of first,
I believe
really good
a bad GM.
I think Kevin Adams is worse, though.
I think he's dog shit.
I think Kevin Adams might be worse, though. I don't know. It's like a toss-up. Treliving didn't have 10 straight years of top 10 picks with a second overall and 2 first overalls mixed in as well. Like,
but Kevin Adams was only there from 2020 though to when he got fired. Like, it's not like he was there for all those years prior.
How long was he there? I actually don't know.
He was hired in 2020 in the in the 2020 off season. I mean, again, for me, like, Treliving is just, you kind of look at it and he just gets bodied in negotiations. He gets bodied in trades because he scrambles.
He's not He's not very good. He might be a little bit better with the president. I don't know. Somebody watching over
But
him. He had no
potentially,
boss. He
absolutely
didn't have a
could. Yeah.
boss, man. Like,
But yeah, and that's just the
it'd feel
thing is
weird
like
going to work like that too, but
Treliving
I
just
wouldn't want
doesn't
either of them.
have anything on paper that I'm like, you're a good GM.
Is
He
he the one
fucked
who
up
made
so bad in Calgary that he got ran out of there. And then
Did he make the Kachuk trade?
Yes.
I think that's better than any one
Yes,
thing
he did.
Adams has done in
But
Buffalo.
he had to trade Kachuk because he refused to give him a decent contract.
That's also true. They absolutely
should
have gone long term instead of bridge. So that's a very fair point.
And then he had the opportunity to extend Johnny Gaudreau, who wanted to be there, and said, "Oh, we'll keep kicking the can down the road. We'll wait." And then
you're asking me, would I rather die? Would I rather drown or would I die by shark attack when I could just like climb onto the beach and hire somebody good at the job? Like,
no, but I'm saying like it shouldn't be these three. And the problem is like, again, by no means do I think Kevin Adams is a good GM, but out of three shitters, yeah, he's the best, and that's
people have been talking about Kevin Adams.
Shouldn't be who you're hiring though.
They're talking about him with the Preds, the Red Wings, the Leafs, and I'm just like, we've been saying this guy sucks for a long time. We've been saying this guy sucks for a long time. We can't. As soon as Buffalo gets good, we can't be like, I knew he'd make it. Like, if they draft well, I'm not giving him credit for that. I'll give him credit for trades he's made. I am not a fan of giving huge credit to GMs who draft well unless it's known that they're making those calls. In that case, because unless we know that for sure, I usually give credit to the scouting department. Like, there's guys who their entire job is finding who's young and good. And then this GM who's been watching the NHL all season goes, who's good? Oh, this kid's good. Okay, I draft that kid. And then everyone thinks he's the smart guy, right? I really wish we got more knowledge through all 32 teams on a bit more of the scouting department. Like, we know the names of a lot of GMs, AGMs, head coaches, assistant coaches, president of hockey. I wish we knew more of the scouting department. I think that's an important part of it. But do you have any names that you think are better than those three?
Again, I think you look for, those assistant GM types. Don't just go with guys that are like, oh, they've been a GM before, but have a pretty bad track record. But they've been a GM before. It's like it's so fucking stupid. I would rather take a chance on an unknown than go with a guy that, again, when you look on paper, it's like they make bad move after bad move after bad move, two of which left the team with a destroyed locker room.
It is really weird.
Why do you want to bring that to Nashville, where you're, again, a team that maybe makes the playoffs, but even if they do, they probably get bounced. And again, a team that's going to be transitioning to get younger. Right? So...
Yeah, it's weird. Like, the amount of NHL teams that basically, like, I know this is kind of different, but also is it? They have two candidates for the job. One's a 16-year-old. Say you're working at McDonald's, and the 16-year-old wants a job as a cashier, and he's never had a job. And they're like, okay, maybe. He looks good, hardworking. We could do this. But then a 17-year-old comes in, and he said, hey, I got fired at McDonald's for coming in high, but I worked there for 4 months before that happened. And what is the manager going to go, oh, he's got the experience though. He's done it before. It's like,
way NHL teams work, yeah.
Yeah, but not well. He got fired.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
And people say, and they almost always take the other guy.
They got fired. We know that.
I'm glad so many companies are saying it out loud, though.
Matthews, but we knew Tavares got stripped of the C, but they just gave him the opportunity to hand it off to Matthews. Nashville, needs to be someone outside the same couple of guys who just get recycled around.
Yeah, and I like that they're going external. I don't think they have anybody in the system that needs to be like. I don't know how Andrew Brunette would work as a GM if they're also looking to make a coaching change. which maybe they probably should. But yeah,
I think Nashville is going to be.
it's a good start, but that I don't like that list of people that are already on the list. Like, I don't think it should be these guys. Don't go after Ron Francis. Like,
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I'm not saying Kevin Adams is a good GM, but I'm saying like that's saying something when he's the best of the three that have been listed. Like, that's already showing like, this doesn't look good for Nashville. And
no, yeah, you're right.
You know, whoever they bring in as a GM, I imagine Brunette will be gone. Again, I think he probably already should have been gone. Again, good coach, but just doesn't work in Nashville really. No, they're still in the fight. But the new GM will want his coach and bring in his guy over the offseason. It's kind of
whether it's
usually
in the offseason
the way
or
it
at the
goes,
end of the next year. Like, that's what we saw on the island.
Yeah.
At the first sign where it seemed like a good time to fire Patrick Waugh, Darch kicks him out the door, brings in DeBoer, bam, we got our guy.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of the Islanders, can quickly throw this in here. This year's playoffs will be the first time ever that it will not feature one of the New Jersey Devils, the New York Islanders, or the New York Rangers, as all three will miss the playoffs. So,
I'm sorry, I feel like I might have missed something in that first part. Did you say that's the first time ever?
Yeah.
I thought it was at least going to be like since 1990, 1980 something. Just that's first time ever. Holy
first
shit!
Time ever. That none of those three will be in.
I guess it makes sense because it is 3 teams. Only one has to make it each year,
and 3 teams that are always in the same division, too. So
they're not historically phenomenal teams. I mean, obviously the Islanders had one of the greatest dynasties we've ever seen, probably the most impressive dynasty of all time. Like, they did it without a Gretzky. They did it without all the rules that helped the Habs, right? But the Devils were very good for a bit there, but then they've spent a long time since Brodeur retired down in the tubes. The Rangers are very on and off. That's shocking. That's never happened once.
I mean, on the flip side, you do got to think about it. Going back to like, what was it, like around 2012-ish or whatever, back when it was like 6 divisions, 5 teams in each. It was like,
that's true.
Just, you think for that, it never happened that all 3 of those, statistically, one of those 3 is going to usually be top 2 in that division. And then from like, onward, Rangers were good. When Rangers kind of took a step back, Islanders were in there competing, and then the Devils would kind of sneak in here and there.
Yeah,
first time ever all 3 are not featured in the playoffs. So
3 teams that have had very good historical goaltending as well.
You would be correct. A little bit of draft stuff, not the exciting stuff you want necessarily here, but draft stuff nonetheless. We do now know that the Vancouver Canucks have the best odds at the number 1 overall pick, meaning they're guaranteed a top 3 pick in the draft. And Chicago, I believe, because of Calgary's win the other night, I think that's what tipped it. Chicago's guaranteed themselves a top 4 pick, and they have the second best odds at the first overall pick. So we know where that stands right now, as I believe it is going to come down to the Flames and Rangers battling for third last in the league. I think Rangers probably kind of got that. Well, actually, they're both tied 75 points.
They both got 75 now. And I will say, the Rangers, they're probably going to be playing harder than the Flames down the stretch, at the very least in the second last game, because they got that big Jonathan Quick retirement game. You got to show up for that.
Could you imagine if the Rangers decided
going into the
to
Hall
keep
of
their
Fame
pick last year?
Wait, what?
When the Rangers traded for JT Miller, they traded their first to Vancouver, and then Vancouver immediately flipped it to Pittsburgh. Could you imagine if the Rangers decided last year, we want to use our pick when I think it was like 12th overall or whatever? Because they had the option of whether they wanted to keep it or send it, and they chose to end up sending it to Pittsburgh. Could you imagine if the Rangers liked a guy there and said, we're going to use it?
Okay, so they do have their own pick.
Yeah, and then not only would Pittsburgh have the potential third overall pick from that, Vancouver would have also traded that pick for Marcus Pettersson. Like, there's a world where Vancouver could have potentially had picks
2
1
in
and
the
3.
top 5. Like, wow.
Yeah. The Rangers definitely avoided a massive disaster there, which would have been very
For a
funny to
second there, I
watch.
thought you were
But,
saying that they still didn't have it, and I was like, "Oh my
no,
god, how
no,
are people not talking about this?"
no, but because it was they were close to potentially keeping it at the draft last year, but ultimately, you did decide to send it to Pittsburgh, and
Good call.
yeah, they definitely made the right call. On
The
that one,
Toronto Maple Leafs. Everyone's been watching them because they obviously have a pick that is only top 5 protected, and they're right around that spot, so people are keeping an eye on
right in
them.
there.
Doing
Yeah.
a very good job as of late. 5 losses in a row. That's exactly what you need right now. Um, they are currently at 78 points. The Rangers and Flames are tied at 75 points, which is for third and fourth in the league. However, the tiebreaker breaks them up. And then it's Toronto after that. They're down into fifth, which is I think the
Meaning, as
most
long
exciting spot.
as a
The most
team,
exciting spot for them to be.
yeah. So as long as a team like Seattle, Florida, St. Louis, San Jose, Winnipeg, as long as one of those teams doesn't win and jump up, or even like, I guess, kind of like what Utah did last year, where they jumped from 14th to
14 to
4,
4.
which was fucking huge for them. Toronto can keep their pick, and I think they will. I think, again, like, it's, if they end up picking 6 or 7, it automatically goes to Boston. And I know a lot of people are saying, like, oh, just send it to Boston, get over with. I think if Toronto ends up with 5th overall, they're going to keep it because they're going to be able to get a defenseman that they can build around on the back end, which they're kind of desperately in need for. Florida, currently, if season ended the way it did, no movement, they would have the 7th overall pick, meaning they would keep their first round pick. That wouldn't go to Chicago.
Yeah.
And
Man,
most likely they're gonna keep they're gonna finish in the bottom 10. So Florida's gonna keep their first, I think.
Yeah, I think they'd be hard pressed not to at this point. And
Now the question is, do they use the pick or trade it? Because I'm all on the board, I think, of you potentially trade it if you can get we keep throwing out there, but Jesper Wallstedt, if you can get a goalie to run with this core for the next 5 or so
please
years,
don't. My God.
I think you take that route. I'm also curious with Florida. I would not be surprised if they hold on to it and they select Ethan Belchez, the very first prospect we talked about on this podcast when he went first overall to Windsor, because he's like 6'5", 220 pounds or so, might even be heavier now.
Probably.
That just screams Florida right now. Just a big young kid. So
Yeah.
I could also see them just doing that. And I mean, for a kid like that, what better way to learn from than, I'm not going to say Matthew Tkachuk. People, they're getting mad. Sam Bennett, because I think power forward could learn a lot from a guy like Sam Bennett, who actually brings the physicality.
Yeah. God, I hope 2 people pass them and they drop down. Jeez.
They would
It's
actually
gonna be
need
a nightmare.
Florida would need to move up. They would need to jump over St. Louis or San Jose, and then 2 teams would have to win the lottery and move up. So very, very, very unlikely. All signs do point to Florida finishing with a top 10 pick, unfortunately.
At least it's not top 5, I guess, but ugh. What else we got
the only
here?
thing we've got is the kind of Norris talk, but I don't know if you had anything else. I know you had a couple things, but I wasn't sure of.
Yeah, we already hit on
if we
2
went
of
through
them.
all.
I got one other thing. We could probably save that till the end if we have time. It's a bit more of a game type thing, I figure. So
Okay.
we can talk about the Norris.
Yeah. So this was just something that I saw this morning, and a couple voters were basically just saying that they feel like the hardest trophy to vote on for this season is the Norris, which I think is absolutely the most difficult, as there's a lot of names in there. You know, you look at the Hart, and Celebrini was in it, but again, even though I don't think it should matter whether or not the Sharks make the playoffs or not, the fact that they missed is and they haven't officially been eliminated, but they're going to miss. So that takes him out of it. That's a 3-man race.
I've got some
Vezina, we were
odds
talking
pulled
about
up
it
here.
before. The Vezina's locked up now with Vasilevsky, considering Islanders are missing the playoffs.
Minus 2,000 for Vasilevsky. Like, he's basically got it locked up.
Selke's locked up with Nick Suzuki hitting 100 points now on the season.
The Jack Adams is only even showing 3 people available. The Hart's only even showing the 3 as well. For the Jack Adams, it's Lindy Ruff at minus 450, John Cooper at plus 320, and then plus 2,700 Dan Muse.
Dan Muse that far down. That's crazy.
Right? I personally, I think he should win it. Like, most people are saying Lindy Ruff. The other guy is my head coach, and I'm saying Dan Muse. Like, what he's done is nothing short of incredible.
I don't think there's a wrong winner between Dan Muse and Lindy Ruff.
The only way I would like John Cooper winning is if it changes the award.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not a one-off and then they go back to the same style, like next year it's whoever is the best coach gets it. Like, it's not the most surprisingly good team. Like,
because the Jack Adams really is like the coach of, like, you're going to get fired in the next 2 years because you really overachieving
team who now has those elevated standards. Like, would you be that shocked if that happened to Lindy Ruff? What if they missed the playoffs next season by like 15 points? He is so out the door.
He wouldn't even make it to the end of the season if that was the case.
But yeah, only 3 people are up for most of these awards. The Norris has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people here with betting odds for them. So they have way more people available. And there's a couple names that a lot of people are talking about that aren't even on here. Like, there's a decent amount of buzz around Moritz Seider. I don't think he's going to win it, but I think a lot of people are going to give him votes, and he's not even one of the 6. We got minus 550 for Zach Werenski, plus 400 for Evan Bouchard. Who do you think is in third? Who would you put in third for the Norris this season?
Probably going to be Dahlin, Makar.
I definitely would have said Makar or even Lane Hudson first, but it is Rasmus Dahlin.
Which I think it should be.
I hadn't heard a ton of
I don't think Cale Makar should be a finalist this year, to be honest. I don't think Quinn Hughes should be a finalist this year.
Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes are number 4 and 5. Lane Hudson at plus 20,000 is the last one. I think his are a bit lower because there's a lot of Habs fans that would vote for him. I think he should probably be a little bit up. But
this year, more than anything, has created an interesting dynamic because so many people are still saying, like, oh, it should be Quinn Hughes. He's the best defenseman in the league. And it's like, yes, overall, like, if you told me, hey, you get to pick one defenseman to be on your team, who are you picking? I'm picking Cale Makar. He is the best defenseman. Has he been the best defenseman this season? No. So, why are we not just giving the Hart Trophy to McDavid every year? Because he's the best player in the league.
Because it's about, it's not about that. It's
who's
about
been
who
the
has
best
season.
This season. Yeah, but people are saying it should go to Cale Makar because he's best, and I don't agree.
That's just not
in
how
my
the
opinion,
award works.
As a professional hater, and
hell yeah,
constantly ripping this guy on the podcast over and over, I believe Evan Bouchard should win the Norris this year. But people don't want to vote for him because it's Evan Bouchard. And it's like, well, we've already kind of created this narrative for him. We can't go back. And it's like, yeah, you can. Because Evan Bouchard has actually been, he's been the best offensive defenseman this season. His defensive numbers have improved quite a bit.
Yeah.
To me, it is a 2-man race. It's Bouchard and Werenski, but I'm giving the edge to Bouchard just because Bouchard's offensive numbers are better than Werenski, and his defensive numbers are just a little bit better. They're pretty on par with each other. So
Zach Werenski
you give the
also
edge to the
doesn't.
offensive numbers a little bit.
When Bouchard is on the power play, when they're at full health, obviously, he is the third best player on their power play. Zach Werenski is hands down the best player on his team anytime he touches the ice.
Yep.
So
Correct.
I think they're very close. I definitely think they're a 1A, 1B, no matter who you have at which one. I have Werenski a little higher personally, just because I think him doing it where, he's the guy holding it together and everyone else is the supporting cast. Bouchard's great, but on the power play, he is kind of the supporting cast a little bit, right? I mean, you're playing with Mick Draisaitl, right? Like, that's not his fault, and it shouldn't pull him down. But those are the kind of hairs you're splitting when you're talking about the two best seasons from a defenseman we've had this year.
No,
there is a weird amount of talk for Quinn Hughes, though.
Yeah,
there is a weird amount of talk for Quinn
Hughes.
That. And the biggest reason that I'm not on board with that? Not only is he a bit further down in points and everything, but when was the last time we had a Norris Trophy winner who was a minus on the season? Quinn Hughes this season, through all his games with the Canucks, which was only 26, minus 10. 48 games with the Wild, he's only a plus 6. So do a little bit of math there. He's a minus 4 on the season.
Well, the last defenseman to win the Norris being a minus would be Erik Karlsson.
I was going to say it's probably Karlsson, I guess, huh?
But he had 101 points, so on a very bad team.
Yeah. Another guy who just didn't have the supporting cast, but he said, fuck it, we're going to get the points. We're going to put the puck to the back of the net, and that's what he did.
I don't think that was his mindset. I think his mindset was, I need to get my shit together or I'm never getting out of San Jose when they're this bad. He was basically told, if you want to get out of here and go have a chance to win a cup, you got to prove your value so we can trade you. And going out there and dropping 100 points on the team that finished dead last in the league, yeah, that'll get you traded.
That'll do it. And honestly, I don't think he should probably be a finalist, but man, Karlsson, the run he's been on lately, if he was doing that all season, he'd have to be in that conversation. He's up to 66 points in 75 games now. Good Lord, he's 35.
I think Elliot Friedman said Karlsson's going to get a vote from him.
I don't blame him. Like, he's doing it with less ice time than everyone above him except for Darren Radish. Like,
yeah.
Man, he's turned back the clock something fierce.
It's the Dan Muse effect. You look at all these guys that are finding their game and finding that spark that, kind of seemed to be lost. And again, that's, something that goes hard for Dan Muse to win the Jack Adams. Again, it's probably going to go to Lindy Ruff, but I think Dan Muse deserves it just as much. But yeah, it kind of does look like the Norris is the only trophy that is still kind of anyone's game at this point. All the other ones kind of really seem to be kind of locked up or pretty much locked up at this point.
I think the Hart and the Norris are the two that could have the most turnover with the final 2 games that most teams have. A couple teams have 3. Like, those final games might change the Hart votes. Like, McDavid's jumped up there for a lot of people, and the odds are reflecting that after his 5-point game the other day with a hat trick. The Norris could change around, but like, yeah, the Vezina, like if the Sabres get demolished, like it would have to be like they get beat 10-0 twice in a row going into the playoffs. And even then, does Dan Muse or Cooper really pass Ruff? He probably still wins.
Probably still wins. Yeah.
Unless he does something like movie quality stupid, like he, freaking puts a guy out there in a position he should never be in and the guy gets injured. Like it would have to be something like that.
It'd have to be something insane.
A generationally boneheaded move that like affects the team's future to make him not win it. It seems like so.
No, yeah, I think you are right there. Last segment here, last stuff before we can get into a fun game to wrap things up. Quick standings check. Check where everything's at, see where we are all at. In the East, Buffalo, Montreal, Tampa locked in for the top 3. Buffalo, Montreal both at 106, Tampa at 104. Buffalo, Tampa 2 games left, Montreal 1. So that's pretty wide open still between the 3 on who's going to win the division, and then between the other 2 who's going to get home ice advantage in round 1.
Yeah,
still a dogfight. 3 very good teams.
It's going to come right down to it to see who gets home ice advantage, potentially winning, who wins the division. It's going to be a real fun first round. It's going to be a real fun first round no matter how you slice it.
Yeah. Yes, and then Metro, Carolina, we know is locked in at number 1, and probably, barring anything super crazy, will finish top team in the East. Pittsburgh has already locked in Metro spot 2. Flyers hanging on to this 3rd Metro spot. 2 games left. 1 point up on Washington, 2 points up on Columbus. So Flyers just need a win.
If they win,
a win in their final 2, or Washington and Columbus to just lose their 1 remaining games because they each only play once. Washington plays Columbus tomorrow. So winner of that will stay alive. Loser of that is for sure done. And then it all comes down to the Flyers. And they play Carolina tonight, and then they play Montreal tomorrow. So
Carolina's sitting most of their best players. So the Flyers have a chance to seal it tonight for sure.
I kind of hope they lose. And again, out of the 3,
I want them to make it. I want them to make it at this point, but them losing makes that Washington Columbus
drama tomorrow.
Yeah, that makes that game so much more like you gotta watch that now. You gotta watch that, even if your team's playing somewhere else. Probably doesn't matter unless it's the Kings or something like. That's must watch hockey.
And again, like obviously Flyers and Canadians will be going on at the same time. But like if the Flyers win tonight, it's just like that's it. That game tomorrow means nothing now, and then it's kind of boring.
That doesn't matter.
But like, yeah, watching those 2 teams battle, knowing like if we win, we're maybe in. And if the other one loses, they're done, right? Boston,
Ovi's career, like that could be Ovi's final game.
Yeah,
and we could be seeing him doing it, fighting to extend his career into the playoffs.
In the playoffs, yeah, absolutely. And again, if Washington makes it, I wouldn't hate it because it means out of nowhere we actually do get Crosby versus Ovi maybe one final time in the playoffs. And you know what? I'm all for that. Actually, no, fuck it. Sorry, Flyers. You know what? I do like you, but fuck you. I want Washington to make it.
I still want the Flyers. They've been too fun.
I want Crosby Ovi. I want Crosby Ovi one more time.
Martone is a point per game player.
I don't care.
Martone's been really good.
He'll be good next year. This is Washington's time. Yeah, give it to me. Probably won't though. Again, I imagine Flyers probably honestly do win tonight. Actually, I mean, Carolina did sit like everybody and still waxed Chicago. And it is Chicago, but they could maybe beat Philly.
They're a good team.
Hopefully.
Like even you sit out all your guys, like we've seen more depleted, weaker teams beat better opponents. Let's be real, right? So
it's something to keep on for. I guess by the time this episode's out, we'll already know. But rooting for Carolina tonight to make things interesting for tomorrow. Boston and Ottawa powered their way into wild card spots, which means Detroit and the Islanders fall just short.
It's interesting because those teams have been up there for most of the year. And even now, their plus minus isn't horrendous, but they're both minuses. They were still minuses when they were in those playoff spots for the most part. And the East always just confused me because there were so many teams with bad goal differentials, sometimes full on negative goal differentials in divisional playoff spots. And it was so strange all year. And then all of a sudden, right at the end where all of this is shaken out in the past 2 weeks, boom, there you go. Top 3 in the Atlantic, all positive. Top 3 in the Metro, all positive. Wildcard 1 and 2, positive. The 2 teams still in it, the Capitals and Columbus, positive. Everyone else negative. All of a sudden,
negative.
it the universe just sorted itself out.
Yeah.
When it
teams that
like
were punching above
the opposite.
their weight class kind of came down to earth, and the teams that were underperforming a bit started to really pull it together down the stretch. I mean, Detroit ends the season. Well, I mean, their playoff hopes at least 3-6-1. The Islanders 3-7-0. Washington is 7-3-0. Columbus 2-7-1. Flyers 7-3-0. So
Columbus had it, man. They had it.
Columbus was in the driver's seat, and they that's
rough.
one of those ones, right? It's like it's not even other teams got hot. It's Columbus just had to be average down the final 8-9 games of the season, and they would have been fine. Not only fine, probably Metro too, and home ice advantage over Pittsburgh. Like, just had to be average, and unfortunately couldn't get that. And you got to be the biggest Carolina fans tonight, hoping they can knock off the Flyers.
Yeah. Over in the West, we got the obvious. Everyone knows what's going on in the Central. It's the same 3 it's been. It's probably going to be like that going into the future too. Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota. The Pacific, Vegas, Edmonton, Anaheim at 91, 90, 90 points. All of them played
2
80 games
remaining.
So they have 2 remaining.
Vegas plays Winnipeg
open.
And then Seattle. Edmonton plays Colorado and then Vancouver. And Anaheim plays Minnesota and then Nashville. So all 3 teams kind of sit in a spot where realistically could go 1-1.
And then they got, man, these 3 teams just outside those playoffs. Nashville, Winnipeg, San Jose. None of them are eliminated yet, right? Like mathematically.
Yeah, no, but not mathematically, but I'm pretty confident that Winnipeg and San Jose are done, because they would need to
win out and have LA lose all 3.
Yeah.
They could have LA lose one of those games in OT and still make it if they win out, but that's as much leeway as they can get.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem super likely.
And I think
they're on a 4-game win streak, the Kings, as well.
And San Jose and Winnipeg play each other on the final day of the regular season. So,
it's too bad they weren't a bit closer in that hunt. That would have been a great game 82.
It really would have been. Yeah, and LA, they play Seattle tonight, Vancouver tomorrow, and then end their season against the Flames. So realistically, they're going to win one of those 3.
And it does suck because they have one more. They do have that 1 game in hand against Nashville, which really hurts their chances, because Nashville is 4 points better than the Jets and the Sharks. They're up at 86, so they're only 1 point back of the Kings, but that game in hand makes it that much harder to get past them. And the Kings being on a 4-game win streak, 6-1-3 in their last 10, because they never lose in regulation. That makes it tough. That makes it tough. I'm still hoping Nashville can pull it out, because I just don't want to see a team get into the playoffs with that many OTLs. They have 34 wins on the season, and they're in
so here's the thing,
right
though,
now.
And this is where it could get interesting. Assuming LA's going to win at least 1 game. Very good chance they win 2, right?
Sure.
I'll paint you a picture. Nashville has 2 games left. They play San Jose tonight. Probably going to win, and I say probably because they've won their last 15 games against the Sharks. So
yeah,
they're probably going to whoop them. And if San Jose does beat them, then good, because you know what, I would like to see them break that curse. So most likely Nashville wins tonight, which means they go up to 88 points in 81 games. LA most likely, again for argument's sake, is going to win 2 of their last 3. That gets them to 91. If Anaheim loses tomorrow against Minnesota.
Which
April
odds are
16th
they will?
on Thursday, final game of the regular season. Anaheim, guess where they're at? Drum roll, please. They are in Nashville.
Oh, man.
So if Nashville beats San Jose tonight, Anaheim loses to Minnesota tomorrow, LA wins 2 of their final 3 games, we are potentially looking at, on Thursday, Anaheim, Nashville, winning you're in.
Oh,
Losing you're out.
man. Jeez.
That's what
please.
we're potentially looking at.
I want to see that. Like, that's fun. And yeah, like, I want to see this Nashville team get into the playoffs. I think they've had some gutsy performances. And
realistically, if
it helps that none of them are true contenders. You know?
And we're hyping this up, but it really is just a battle of who gets to play Colorado round 1. Is what comes down to. So really for you, because you want Nashville to be in, and for Nashville fans, you got to be rooting against Anaheim tomorrow against Minnesota.
Yeah.
Because if Nashville is going to make the playoffs, it's going to have to be knocking out Anaheim over LA, I think. Because again, LA just has such an easy schedule that I'm expecting them to win at least get 3 out of 6 points.
I don't know. I mean, the Ducks just got beat by the Canucks. The Canucks just fairly recently kind of dumpstered the Avs. Like,
yeah, but the Ducks have kind of been on a bit of a slide.
Team, but
no, I do get what you're saying though.
Right? Like, they've got nothing to lose. They're going nowhere. They can't go nowhere. Winning, losing, it doesn't matter for playoffs, for draft picks, nothing. Like, they're just out there
what you're saying, but
playing pond hockey with it. And
again, I realistically don't see LA losing out against Seattle, Calgary, and then Vancouver.
I don't think they're gonna lose out, but like, they're only 1 point ahead of Nashville. The Ducks are 3 points ahead of LA, 4 ahead of Nashville. So like, it's, you know, it's much more likely that LA slips than the Ducks do, I think. But
yeah, well, I mean, all Anaheim's got to do is beat Minnesota tomorrow, and they're in.
Right.
And then for Nashville, you need LA basically to kind of just lose out to get you in.
Yeah. But I mean, if they lost to the Canucks the other night, the Minnesota Wild are much better. They even have a Quinn Hughes.
Yeah. Which is what I'm saying. So yeah, for Nashville, most likely it's going to be you're going to have to beat out Anaheim over LA.
It's going to be interesting. It's crazy to me. Like, Vegas is clinched now, right? Have they finally clinched? The team that's first in the division with their 80th game played has finently clinched.
God. Yeah, so they're at 91, Edmonton at 90, Anaheim at 90.
Edmonton hasn't clinched even.
Edmonton's clinched.
How? They have 90 points.
Yeah, but they've got so many more regulation wins than Anaheim.
Really? Oh shit! They
take the tide.
They got 6 more. Regulation wins is the first tiebreaker. I thought that was the second.
Nope. That's the first, isn't it?
I thought the first was just overall wins, but
no.
Okay.
But actually, how have they? Because Edmonton can lose their final 2. Anaheim can win 1. LA. Oh, because Nashville. No. Oh yeah, because Nashville can't pass Edmonton. Even if Nashville wins their remaining 2 and Edmonton loses their main 2, Nashville can't jump Edmonton. But Nashville can jump Anaheim or LA. Yeah, exactly. So Edmonton has clinched. Vegas is clinched, but no idea who's going to get home ice advantage, who's going to play who. We could potentially still end up with Edmonton and LA again this year.
We're going to. You can't avoid it. You can't avoid it. Try. I dare you. You're still going to watch it. Like,
very likely. That's what we end up with potentially. Yeah.
Just everything just worked out perfectly that all of a sudden Edmonton falls just enough. The Kings sneak into the playoffs, and all of a sudden, bam, we're right back to that.
Yeah. And obviously, Winnipeg and San Jose haven't officially been eliminated, but I'm ruling them out. Because again, I don't see either one of these teams winning their. Well, neither team can win their remaining 3 because they do play each other one final time.
So they can't both win out.
Yeah.
But even if one of them does, that still leaves it up to the chance of all the teams ahead of them, like the Kings and the Preds, both have to lose out.
Yeah.
And then they'd get in if they won out.
Which for San Jose, a little bit easier because all you got to do is beat Nashville tonight. And then Nashville's only got the one final game, which they maybe could lose. But again,
still banking on the Kings losing all 3. Yeah. In regulation.
Again, I think they're going to win. The Kings are going to win at least one.
More than likely. More than likely.
That's what I'm banking on. So
I think it's going to come down to the end, though. I think they're going to lose to Vancouver. I think they're going to beat Calgary at the end.
And they lose against Seattle as well.
Because
that's the thing. The Kings got 3 games. So
if it's Grubauer in net, he puts up a shutout.
It's looking like it's Anton Forsberg versus what's the first name? Nicholas Koka. I don't know. Playing his second career game.
Oh wow!
Oh, sorry, third career game tonight.
And I think he played the other night. So you know what? Seattle, they're doing it right. They started tanking down. They were eliminated from the playoffs, and they're like, all right, let's start playing some goalie nobody's ever heard of. We've got Decord, we've got Grubauer. We could play either of them. Why would we? Let's give them some extra rest, and let's see what we got in young guys, and more importantly, probably get less good goaltending performance. Maybe make that pick a little better.
Yeah.
That said, they've won 2 in a row, so maybe this guy's their future in net. Who knows? So
yeah, very good chance LA just wins tonight, and that's just it right there for Winnipeg and San Jose, and then it's just a clear 3-man race. Last thing we can say for the standings here, the Utah Mammoth have officially clinched a playoff spot for the first time in franchise history. I know a lot of people are saying like, whoa, because Utah is a new franchise. They have no.
The Utah
no
Mammoth are not the Arizona Coyotes.
They've no affiliation to them at all. So
what? I don't get why people even want there to be. The Utah Mammoth are not the Arizona Coyotes. Like it. Yeah, I don't know. It maybe if they had a little more history behind them, it would feel differently. But
well, I mean, the Coyotes technically they had all the history from the old Winnipeg Jets too. So that's all gone.
Which is still goofy. I get the sentiment, but like if a guy scores a bunch of points in Winnipeg, he should be their all-time leader in points should be Dale Hawerchuk for the Jets. But he doesn't count as under their franchise. It's a different Jets. Like I don't know.
It's pretty weird.
Same city, most of the same fan base. Like that's what's important, not the contracts.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah.
But
that's where we're at with the standings. Again, we'll be back on Friday afternoon because we'll be recording Friday morning when we'll know exactly how everything all plays out. And again, if you want to talk hockey, let us know your thoughts on the playoff race or want to keep up to date on our thoughts and everything, you can do so through any of our socials or on YouTube as well, where this episode will be uploaded for you all who love to come over to YouTube and watch us and see our beautiful mugs. Braden, I got something that's a little bit different here to wrap this episode up, but as always, we love to wrap things up with a fun game.
Okay.
I'm gonna. What did I call this? Because I had to. It's something new.
Do we got a new game on our hands?
I'm gonna call this head to head. It's pretty simple here. It is there's 11 rounds, and the goal is basically you got to win at least 6. You got to be above 50% to get the win. And so for this one specifically, I've got goals and points. And so how it works is basically I've got 2 players. I'm going to list off both players, and I have included how many games they've played.
Okay.
And then you have to decide which player you think scored more goals or points, depending on what the category is for that round. Pretty simple.
Okay. And that's for this season, not career?
Yeah, it's just this season alone. Are you ready?
I am ready.
You are ready. Round 1. The category is goals. So who has more goals?
More
We
goals
have
on the season.
Mackenzie Weegar at 77 games played versus Thomas Harley, 68 games played.
Interesting. I know both guys have had a down year offensively. At least it sure felt like it.
Who are you riding with?
I'm gonna go a bit against my gut. I'm gonna try and use my head a little bit and what I think I've seen. I'm gonna go Mackenzie Weegar.
You're going to go Mackenzie Weegar.
I think
All right.
Harley's scoring has dropped off a good bit, and I think he also has put up a lot more assists than goals compared to what he did last year.
In 68 games played this season, Thomas Harley has 6 goals.
Oh, come on. Weegar's got to have more than 6.
For Mackenzie Weegar, in 77 games played, he has 4.
Really? He only has 4 in 77 games?
Yep.
God damn, dude.
Yeah, a little bit of a struggle year in the goal department there for old Mackenzie Weegar.
Yeah, like I get he was on the Flames for a while and stuff, but geez. That's
round 2. More goals. Sticking with goals for this one. We have Pavel Zacha in 77 games played, or Jack Eichel, 72 games played.
Well, obviously you would assume Jack Eichel has more goals. He is an elite player, and Pavel Zacha is a very good top 6 forward, but not
I'm just throwing this out there because I did forget to mention it. You don't have to take into account for this round, but there can be ties. I did forget to mention that there can be ties. I did forget to mention at the beginning.
Okay.
Do not take that into account for this round, though. There is a definitive winner in this one.
Okay. I appreciate you letting me know it's not a tie in the round you're telling me that.
Yeah.
Conventional wisdom would say that the reason you would ask this question is because Pavel Zacha has more goals. But Jack Eichel just scored an OT winner the other night. So I'm going to say they were probably tied, and I bet Eichel's above by like 1. But that's still shocking. I think that's still a shocking result if Eichel only wins by like 3. These two guys the skill difference is a great amount. So I'm going to go with Eichel.
You're going Jack Eichel. Jack Eichel on the season, 26 goals in 72 games played.
That's
Pavel Zacha in 77, 30 tucks.
Jeez,
Pavel Zacha has more goals. Yeah.
Fair. I thought Zacha was a little lower. I did also think Eichel was a bit higher than that.
Right? That's kind of what I thought. Like, I knew Zach was having a good year. I didn't realize Jack Eichel was that low in the goal department, though.
They got to teach that guy to shoot more, man. He's got a good shot.
Mm-hmm. You are 0 for 2 right now, but still lots of time to turn it around.
Yeah.
This one where we've got points. We have Matthew Schaefer in 81 games played versus Jackson Lacombe, 80 games played. Both defensemen have not missed a single game this season.
Haven't missed a game this season. Interesting. I'm going to go Schaefer. I think he's done really well. He's got to be ahead in goals, but even points, I think he's still up there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Schaefer is close to 60. I think he's like 59, 58.
You would be correct. Matthew Schaefer, 59 points in 81 games. Jackson Lacombe, 56 points in 80 games. You have your first point on the board. Well done.
Well done. I figured he was probably somewhere between that 58 to 50 range.
Yeah. We've got points. We're back on the points. Well, we're sticking on the points train here, actually. We have Leo Carlson, 68 games played, versus Trevor Zegras, 80 games played.
Interesting.
Former teammates. One kind of ran the other one out of town by taking over his job.
I had Zegras at the start of the year on my fantasy team, and then I traded him away. And then with that same person, I ended up trading Leo Carlsson to him as well later in the season. Geez. Leo Carlsson was phenomenal at the start of the year. When I traded him 1-for-1 for Zach Werenski because Leo Carlsson had the second most fantasy points in our league at the time. Like, he was unreal.
More than McDavid at the time, because McKinnon was the clear number one.
Because McKinnon was one.
And McKinnon, like, cleared everybody.
Oh, yeah. Still probably is. But he slowed down. Zegras has been healthy all year. Obviously, Carlsson had the injury. I got to go Leo Carlsson. I think that even with the time off, he was so hot to start the year, and he was... Cutter Gauthier keeps scoring goals. Somebody's got to be setting him up.
Final answer? Locking it in?
The Flyers have been hot down the stretch too, though. Zegras is all over it in the last 10 games. Oh, man. Give me Trevor Zegras. Final answer. Lock it in.
Going with Trevor Zegras?
Yep.
Leo Carlsson, in 68 games played this season, has 66 points. Trevor Zegras, in 80 games played this season, has 66 points.
Oh, is that a tie?
It is a tie between them.
Oh.
That's why I thought you were going to end up going with the tie, because you were like so...
I even swapped answers. Honestly, I kind of forgot about... I'm not used to thinking about ties, right? Like, it's so... And it's so
That's
much...
Why I thought you
changed.
I thought you were going to go... Yeah, I thought you were going to switch up and go to the tie.
You know, I should have. Like, the fact that the one tie so far is the one that I've swapped on is... I was around it, but I wasn't considering the tie too much. I should have.
Next up, we're back on the goals. We have the Long Island player versus the Long Island boy. We have Matt Barzal versus Matt Coronado. Matthew Barzal, 80 games played this season. Matt Coronado, 79 games played this season.
Barzal's had a bit of a resurgent year, but he's known obviously more as a playmaker. Coronado's a bit more of a sniper. He's been very up and down this season, though, and obviously on a bad Flames team. I feel like I've seen a couple more highlights of Barzal than I have in past years, though. And I think a lot of them are goals. This one's got to be close, too. But would you put two ties in a row? Would you put two ties in a row?
I genuinely don't know if I would. Maybe that's in my character. Maybe it's not. I can't tell you, though. For the integrity of the game, I can't tell you.
I'm going to go Matt Barzal.
Answer, locking it in?
Yeah. I think he's around 25. He might be knocking on the door of 30 goals. I think he's upped his goal scoring a little bit this season, unless I'm mistaken.
Well, you would be wrong in assuming that. Matt Barzal in 80 games played has 19 goals.
Oof. Yeah, is this
luckily for you, though?
There?
Yeah, I think he's got like 70 points still. Like he still clears number one on the island. Well, Schaefer's second on the team in 59. So like Barzal has a 10-point gap.
What the hell happened?
Luckily for you, though.
Didn't that guy go to the Olympics and shit?
Yeah. Kind of cooled off down the stretch. Luckily for you, though, Matt Coronado, 18 goals. You got another point on the board. That was a very close one between the two. So when I saw that, I was like, yeah, that's a money matchup. We love that. You are currently at 2 correct and 3 wrong, so still definitely time to turn it around here. As we are sticking with goals, we have Nico Hischier, 81 games played, versus Sebastian Aho, 79 games played this season.
I'm not going to overthink it. Give me Sebastian Aho. Hischier's been good, but he's not a shoot-first guy, which neither is Aho, but Aho, he's one of those guys that underratedly buries the puck. And
locking in Aho?
Canes have been great. Devils haven't been great this year. Yeah, I'm going Aho. I'm not going to overthink it.
Sebastian Aho, 79 games played this season, 27 goals. Nico Hischier, 81 games played this season, 28 goals.
Oh,
just barely edging out Aho on the season so
Damn.
far. But a very, very close battle.
That was close.
More points. Back to points. Mika Zibanejad, 79 games played this season, or Lucas Raymond, 78 games played this season. A couple of Swedes, a couple of Olympic teammates.
That's very interesting because I do know Zibanejad has turned it up down the stretch. Lucas Raymond's a really good player, though.
Really good player. Part of the new core four.
I'm having trouble not just saying Raymond. There's a chance it's Zibanejad, but I don't want to say that. I'm kind of between Ty or Raymond. I'm wondering if you put this on here because it's shocking that they're tied. Try and get in the mind of it a little bit. Oh, we're just going overall points. I mean,
More points on the season.
Somebody's got to score on the Rangers, obviously, but give me Lucas Raymond.
Final answer, locking it in?
Yeah.
Locking it in. He's going with Lucas Raymond, his boy. Mika Zibanejad,
And this might be a
games
trap
played this season.
because you know that I like Lucas Raymond as a player. You know that I want to pick. So this might be a little bit of a trap, but sometimes you see a sandwich over top of big red X, but sometimes you also just want a sandwich.
Okay. Mika Zibanejad in 79 games played has 76 points. Lucas Raymond in 78 games played, 76 points. It was a tie.
It is a tie. When you said final answer, I almost swapped it to tie, but I was like, no, I'm just going to stick. Damn.
So that currently puts you at 2-5, so you got to go on quite a run here. You got to go on a run.
Looking at Zibanejad as a huge boat anchor. And he's brought it back.
Probably looking at Erik Karlsson and decided, if I want to get out of the Rangers here, I gotta play my way out. No one's gonna take him at the start of the season, but almost a point per game on a pretty rough Rangers team.
I wouldn't hate my team taking a look at him now. Maybe not for the full price, but a
little bit retained, and yeah, absolutely. 4 left. Gonna need you to go on quite a run here. I'm gonna need you to lock in for these.
Okay. This is harder than it looks, though. It
is. It's
not a 50-50. It's a 33% chance on each one.
Yeah. More points. Clayton Keller, 80 games played this season. Or Tage Thompson, 80 games played this season.
Interesting. Tage Thompson has more goals, for sure. But Tage Thompson. I'm sorry, who was the first player?
Clayton Keller.
Clayton Keller. I got thinking about Lucas Raymond again. I can't stop thinking about him. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Clayton Keller.
Going Clayton Keller.
I'm gonna go Clayton Keller. I think he's got a couple more points. I think he's got 30 goals. I think he's gonna be around 90 points. I think Tage Thompson has a shit ton of goals. I think he's got at least 40. Probably like 45.
You're very close. But Clayton Keller, 29
I think he's got
goals.
Like 85 points.
Clayton Keller, 29 goals. So almost 30, like you said. 85 points for Clayton Keller on the season.
That's what I said Tage Thompson would have for points.
You said 40 goals. Tage Thompson has 38 goals on the season. You thought he had 85 points. 79. You get another point there. Clayton Keller beats him 85-79. Well done.
It was like the same spread. I was just 5 high for both of them on the points.
Yeah.
All right.
Moving back to goals, we got a couple of dog shit teams here. We got Jordan Eberle, 77 games played, versus Carter Verhaeghe, 77 games played. So the exact same.
Oh no. A guy on a team that I don't look at their stats because I don't want to know how they're doing, versus a team that I don't even really think about because they're not doing well. A lot of these other guys throughout the season, every once in a while you see numbers and you're like, oh, okay, he's doing well. I kind of knew Keller was around what I was guessing. These guys, I have no idea. I could be off by like 25 points. I really do not know. Um, I know Eberle is the leading scorer on the Kraken, and I know that Verhaeghe wasn't bad enough for me to drop him in fantasy. That's like actually all I know.
Remember, just goals between these guys, not overall points.
That is true. We're just going goals.
Just goals. Just goals.
They're both kind of trigger men, though. Like, they're not pure goal scorers, but they're guys that shoot more often.
They're great complementary pieces.
I'm gonna go with Verhaeghe just because I think Eberle, being a bit more of a vet, probably started dishing the puck a bit more.
Final answer, locking it in.
You know what? These guys are too random for you to have just thrown them out there. I'm gonna say tie. I think they're tied.
Going with a tie.
There's not a ton of reason to compare these players other than if you saw they both had the same amount of goals. That's gonna be my logic. Say
Jordan Eberle,
24 goals.
77 games played, has 26 goals. Carter Verhaeghe, 77 games played, 25.
Oh,
Just
one
one
less
than Jordan Eberle. Yeah, but very, very close between the two still, though.
Eberle's still good, man. They need to move on from him before he falls off a cliff. They gotta trade his ass. Why wasn't he gone at the deadline?
Because they signed him to an extension. They decided we got to keep this guy. He's too good. Thankfully for you, though, I potentially do have an extra one if we reach that point. But right now it's not looking great for you.
It's not looking good.
You need to get these last two, and then I do have a
dialing in
one final one that could maybe get you to just break even. We're back on points. A couple of first overall picks. Uri Slafkovsky, 81 games played, versus Connor Bedard, 67 games played.
Oh, jeez. So obviously Slafkovsky's been healthier. As you said, he's played more games. He's been rather consistent over the year. I do believe he has over 50 points. I know Bedard has.
You would be correct on that.
At least 60. I mean, he was otherworldly, but then he kind of fell off after the injury and.
Oh, don't I know that?
Didn't go to the Olympics and then not in the playoffs. So.
Did nothing for my fantasy team in the playoffs.
Slafkovsky's been racking them up recently, though, with the Habs tear. This is points.
Yeah. Points.
I don't know who to pick because of that injury to Bedard in the middle, so I'm gonna go with the tie.
Gonna go with a tie. Uri Slafkovsky, 81 games played this season, 73 points.
Holy.
So a lot more than the 50 you were thinking.
Good for him. Well, I knew he had already hit 50. I knew he was higher than that. I just that's the last time I remember seeing like a graphic of like he's hit at least this.
Connor Bedard, 67 games played, 73 points. It is a tie. You got the point. You got the point. Still alive technically.
Huge.
Last
I was going to take
Slafkovsky
so early in our fantasy league, and then somebody was crazy and took him even. I was going to be insane and take him way earlier than he should have been, and then somebody else took him like even more insanely early. And they look like they're the one who look like the smart guy.
Last one here, but if you get it right, there's a bonus one that can bring you up to 50-50 even cut, which is always fun. We got goals. Kirill Marchenko, 75 games played, versus Bobby McMahon, 75 games played.
God.
Couple of elite snipers in the league.
Yeah, apparently. Jeez. Marchenko's so good. But I do know his production's been a bit down this year, at least compared to last year. Goal scoring, I believe, especially. Bob McMahon's been very hot as of late. He's racked up a lot of goals in the last month. And he was good on the Leafs, but they're also the Leafs. Like, he can't have that many goals. Nylander's got a ton of points. Like, they would have won more games than they have if he was scoring that much, right? Oh, what has Marchenko dropped to? How low down is he? Is he at 30? Are these guys both in that 27-28 range? Fuck me. I want to say Marchenko is just above 30, and I feel like I would have heard if Bobby McMahon had a 30-goal season going. So just off that, I'm going to go Marchenko. I think they're like 2 or 3 apart, and I think Bobby McMahon's like 29 and Marchenko's at like 31 or something like that.
And Lance are locking it in.
Locking it in.
Locking it in.
I would have heard if Bobby McMahon had 30 tucks. That's crazy. That would be a crazy stat.
When you would be correct. Bobby McMahon, 75 games played, 28 goals on the season.
Okay.
You were correct. He didn't reach 30. Kirill Marchenko, 75 games played, 27.
Damn.
One less than Bobby McMahon. I thought you were right there when you said the 27-28 range for them. I was like, oh yeah, they're right in there, which brings you to a final score, unfortunately, of 4-7. But overall, not bad because again, I did try to make these very tough, and
they were. Those were good though.
Normally wouldn't be involved in these type ones. Do you want to know what the bonus one was? I originally had it in here, but I removed it because I thought you probably know this. This one was points.
Okay.
David Pastrnak, 76 games played, versus Mark Scheifele, 79 games played. But I feel like you know the answer in this one, probably, between the two.
Off the top of my head, I definitely don't know it like as well as I would have known, Kucherov and McKinnon as of right now or something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Pasta's been good. I think it's Scheifele because Scheifele's like right up there in points. Oh no, he's the one who's right behind Celebrini, I think, which would I think put him
not
fifth.
anymore.
Not anymore. Unless Pasta's the one who passed him, I would have to say Scheifele.
You would have went with Scheifele?
Yeah. Is Pasta the guy who passed him? Oh, it's a tie.
No, it was Nick Suzuki. Mark Scheifele and David Pastrnak are both tied at 99 points. Mark fucking Scheifele is 1 point away from being a 100-point player, which is pretty damn incredible.
I saw somebody.
And I don't think it's getting talked about enough that he's.
It's absolutely not
right up there. I consistently grab this guy in like the 4th round of fantasy every year, and he's just potentially going to be a 100-point guy.
Do you know how many hours I put into thinking of trades to try and get Marty Necas from you when you said that I asked you, who do you value more on your team? Because you had both these guys, Martin Necas or Mark Scheifele. And you said, I put more value in Scheifele. And I was like, okay, so clearly he's underrating Necas. I gotta grab this guy from him.
I mean, Marty Necas was
you weren't even wrong.
Probably a top 5 player for me in the league, but like, I mean, Mark Scheifele is just a fucking dog, dude.
Same amount of points as Pastrnak. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Not talked about enough. Somebody the other day said to me, with a straight face, I think Nick Suzuki might win the Selke this year.
When was this?
Like since our last recording, like in the last.
Also recently.
Yeah. Who the fuck could even challenge him for this? Who even has a claim to be a finalist for sure, other than him?
I can't even think of anyone.
He's so clearly winning it. He's so.
I think it's
good defensively.
I think the dumber thing.
He's at 101 points right now. Like,
yeah, I think the dumber thing
locked up.
Someone questioning that to you is people saying that Suzuki's locked up the Selke after he put up 100 points. I think he had it locked up even before then.
He had it locked up like a month ago. Like Barkov's out. Heischer and the Devils have had a down year. Like, the Panthers are out. So like Sam Reinhart's not even had a fantastic year.
Point totals have really dropped off this year, and I think even then probably still wouldn't at this point now because
like I think Sorelli's probably a finalist, and like he's had a good season, but like he has not had a Selke winning season.
Yeah,
like. Nothing wrong with being a top 3, but like even then, it's a maybe. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe maybe some of those superstars who typically aren't the two-way guys that are still pretty good defensively, maybe they get in that conversation. A Jack Eichel, Draisaitl said he wanted to get better at defense this season. I haven't looked at the advanced stats. I don't know if he really did that, but 95 points. If he played good defensively all year, maybe he should be in there. It's tough to say.
Tough to say. But we're at the end of the episode here. Once again, hope you all enjoyed. And we do want to thank you all for tuning in, as this is technically the final episode of the 2025-26 regular season. Next episode that'll be out will be right in between the end of the regular season, beginning of the playoffs. So we are very close to the playoffs there. If you do want to talk hockey, let us know your thoughts on anything we talked about, anything we didn't, or your thoughts on anything coming up with the playoffs or any regular season awards. You can do so at the end of our socials. They are all linked down below as usual. Or you can come over to YouTube as well, over to the comment section or the community section. It's been some stuff going on over in there.
We got plenty of posts.
So you can do so through any of that. Braden, potentially some huge final games if everything goes all the right way. We could be looking at a couple game 82 win and you're in type scenarios. But before we can get to all that, before we can get to any of the craziness, as always, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Congratulations to Anze Kopitar on a fantastic Hall of Fame career, a first ballot Hall of Fame career. Congratulations to Jonathan Quick, who obviously when this comes out for us in a few hours, will be playing in his final NHL game. And we'll see if Ovechkin makes one more playoff run, and we'll see if he decides to do another season. Or we say it almost at the end of every season because there's always at least a couple names retiring, but really does feel like a bit of an end of an era there. But
yeah,
we still got Crosby. We still got Crosby going into the playoffs. We still got Crosby hitting a point per game, 21 seasons in a row. And no matter who he gets to face once he gets into those playoffs, round one is going to be very fun to watch. Whether it's
very fun
Battle of Pennsylvania against the Flyers, whether it's him versus Ovi, one final go in the playoffs. Hell,
one final go.
If Columbus sneaks in, Crosby has low-key freaking had some run-ins with the Columbus Blue Jackets as well. So I wouldn't hate that matchup either. So we'll see how it shakes out down the stretch.
Couldn't agree more. But that is it for this episode. One final time, we do want to thank you all for tuning in. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, we will see all of you out on the ice later this week.